Hello and welcome to this week's tutorial. This week we're going to start a series. It should be a quite fun one. We're going to model and hopefully unwrap and then texture and possibly even rig and do a bit of animation with. We're going to do a Velociraptor. So we're not going to be doing the sort of what's considered the genetically correct Velociraptor as it is nowadays, which is sort of a small feathered thing that's sort of more bird-like than it is lizard-like. Well, that would present some challenges in itself. We're not going to go with that. I like the Jurassic Park style Velociraptor. The sort of tall, the muscly, the scary, the strong type of beast. So I've got some good reference image for that. I believe the artist's name is Rob Miranda. His DeviantArt name, I think, is Yankee Trex. I'll put a link in the description that you can follow to find this image. So yeah, I'll just load it up in Blender and show you what it looks like. I will start by deleting the cube and adding an empty, which I will use as an image, and then just go to open and my Raptor folder and this one. So it starts off quite small. What we'll do is, what I want is sort of the side-on view to be in the side view. So I will hit R and then just holding Control to constrain that to 5 degrees as you move it. I'll rotate it so that now the image is facing the front when I hit 1 on the numpad. And I'll just go to the top view and rotate it using Control -90 that way. So now when I hit 3 I've got this nice side-on view of the Raptor. Now it's looking pretty small at the moment, so what I'm thinking is each of these squares is going to be about 1 meter, and Velociraptors are about 2 meters tall, so bearing in mind that his feet are directly on the bottom of the image, feel free to adjust it if you want to, but just the actual image, but this is fine for what we need now. Who's that big line going through? That's the lamp, get rid of that. So yeah, we've got this, and I'll just sort of get it so, see, the legs are about the center of the world. So now we've got this. I will move it back in the X. Doesn't have to be a specific amount, just sort of far enough to have your sort of model here, and then you'll be able to see in the background here. And then I shall Shift D to duplicate that empty with the image on it. And if I move my mouse, you see I've got a second one. I'm just going to right click to cancel the transform on that, and with it still selected, I'm going to go to Object, turn on X-ray, and then go back here to the object data and set the transparency down probably about 0.33, so about 1/3. And then if we add in a new cube with Shift A, we'll be able to see the sort of background image and the transparent one that's set to X-ray, so that no matter what's in front of it you can actually see the image behind. And it's only at 1/3, so it's sort of faded so you can tell that there's something in front of it. And if we just rotate our view we can see the actual model however we like to. So I like this setup for reference images. And then I suppose it's just modelling. So we'll have the cube in the center, and I'll start by setting it up to have some symmetry. So in the front view, that's 1 on the numpad. Tab into edit mode. and then just Control R and left click to start that, and then right click to leave that at the center. And so we've done a loop cut through the middle, and I'll just hit Z for wireframe mode, B for box select, and select those vertices, and then X and click on vertices. And then over here in the modifier panel, we'll add in a mirror modifier, and we'll turn on clipping, so that no matter how much we want to move them, the center vertices will not come off that center plane. So that will make sure everything stays consistent, otherwise we get stuff going on like this, and it's sort of hard to manage when you've got a lot going on. So back into side view, and I'll probably just stay in solid mode because that's why we've got this X-ray on. And I'll just using B for box select, make sure you turn off the limit selection to visible. So what that does is allows you to sort of see through the cube a little bit, and allows you to select everything that's sort of behind the polygons that you're currently looking at. So if I box select that corner there, even though we're not in wireframe, we can select both of those. So just remember that we've turned that off, because that's something you do want on sometimes. I'm just going to move this, or move these vertices, to sort of give us the main shape of the body. And then if we go into the front view, we can see that's far too wide, so move that in. It doesn't have to be very accurate quite yet, we're still just working with the box. And then we will add in a loop cut with Control R, position it sort of about where the leg is, and bring this down. Again, B for box select, maybe bring this up a little bit to give a bit of a curve in the back, and then we'll add another loop cut about there, bring that one up a bit, maybe bring this one down a bit, and then you can't quite see the profile behind the arm. You can sort of guess it. It's obviously going to be something between there, so you can have it a little bit out or a little bit in if you want. I'll probably have it about there, and then just reposition that neck bit there, and then I might, just to even it out, move that way a bit, and then add in another loop cut there, just so we've got sort of fairly even size to everything. And again, sort of guess the shape that's going on behind there, and give that sort of a nice gentle curve along the back. You don't have to follow the reference sort of to the T, just sort of take your own liberties with it as you like. Don't feel like you're forced to follow every single step that I do. Do what you want. It's your own model. Now what we'll do is extrude the head and neck out, and we'll do it a specific way to encourage some loop flow. So I'll start by just extruding that, and then I'm going to rotate it, and I might just move that straight up here. I've just got it so that this vertex is here, and then I can have that one probably come into about there, and I'll add in, for now, just one loop cut in the middle of there, and have that sort of about, so this side here is about where the head's going to come out of. I'll have that a bit higher and add in another loop cut there. So then we've got the neck shape in there, and that looks okay. And then we will extrude out this head. So straight away we've got that. And I've done it this way for a reason, rather than just extruding straight along like that, which would cause problems later on when I want to add some detail to the head. For now, if I create a new loop, it's gonna just cut up to the back of the head there. However, if I'd have not done it this way, you would see that it would create a loop all the way through the body, which you're not going to want, especially later on if you just need to add some detail to the sort of the face area, or the beak, I suppose you could call it. If you just want to add detail there, then you can. And if you just want to add detail to the body, you can do a loop cut there, and it's only going to add this geometry up here, which can sort of easily be smoothed out because it's sort of a nice round area, rather than it flowing into the face and interrupting everything and causing big trouble. So I'll just get rid of that loop cut. I'll just keep in this one and start to shape the head. So I've got a bit of a shape there. That's a bit of a sort of a fleshy area there, so I might extrude that out itself. Do another loop cut on the head itself. So we've got that, and then one that's pretty much going through the middle of the eye. They can start to give us that proper shape. Sort of bring that back a bit. And even bring this one back a bit so you can see it's following that jawline. And maybe another one just to keep it nice and even. Bring that down a little bit. Please do go into Google and look up Velociraptor or just Raptor. Look up Google Images for that search. You'll come up with a lot of really good images, especially for ones from the front view. Ones that I would like to use, especially when it comes down to these feet and sort of getting the right proportions and everything, because you can see there's a toe in here coming out at a weird angle, and you're going to want to have sort of a better view of what's going on in there. It pretty much all is just drawings and stuff by other people, so there are liberties taken in certain areas. Feel free to take your own liberties. It is all art at the end of the day, so you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. We'll extrude out this tail. We'll begin the tail there, and have that there. And then you can see this tail goes off the actual image, so we'll just sort of guess the length of it. And just imagine that it's sort of coming up and sort of finishes probably a little bit more like that. You can make your tail longer or shorter if you want. It doesn't matter to me. That looks good. Now I'll just sort of go into the 3D view a bit and start to shape this into more of a 3D object. So you can see this tail. You're going to want it to have a bit of a tip, so just pull that back in the Y a bit. These handles are quite useful for the quick edits like that, so I'll just move that in on the X. You can always use the hotkeys G and X, Y, or Z to move in an axis. So if I select these two vertices and then G and then X, I can also move them in. And with two vertices selected, you can hit S to scale, and it will just bring them closer together. So that's good for more organic stuff where you want it rounded, especially like this. So just do that along here, and it's sort of created it a bit more rounded. So that looks good. At the moment it's looking like that, so we may want to just select those vertices, just bring them down to about there, just to sort of round off the body a bit more. And we're probably going to want to bring all of this in a bit anyway. The widest bit is probably going to be the hips, that area where the big muscly legs are going to be sort of sticking out a bit, because they are so large and strong. They're going to be the widest part of the body, so keep that in mind. So these two bits are going to be where the legs are, so I'll just bring that out, and then just bring that out a little bit to sort of compensate and keep it rounded. I'm going to want to bring most of this up to help it round out a bit. And of course the head, take a quick look at. Select pretty much all of those and just move them in. And I may want to, rather than moving each one of those in individually, I can just go here to select the rotate manipulator. So now I can click on that Z rotation there. And it's sort of giving me a slight, everything at a bit of an angle. Maybe reduce that angle a little bit. But yeah, it saves a bit of time. And then most of this is going to come in on the X. And if we just go to the side view, select those, let's just bring that down a bit. And just bring the nearer ones in a bit. And that will just sort of start to round out that head. All of this is going to be sort of moved out a bit. You probably, yeah, that line's a bit high. So bring that down, bring that down, bring that down. And what we can do later on is cut along this line to create the actual mouth, sort of the lips that are in there. Come up to there, so it's starting to get a look. Something that looks like a bit of a Velociraptor. It's still looking a bit thick in the head area, so just bring that in a bit, bring that in a bit. That looks okay for now. I do have a second screen that I will probably put up some the references just from different views, so I can quickly look at them and sort of eyeball what I'm doing and make sure it's sort of right. Of course, all organic creatures are, you know, individuals in their own way, different to each other, even in the same species. You get that with humans, as you probably notice. Everyone looks different, so don't feel that you're tied down to any specific details. And what we'll do is quickly just model in the legs, the start of the legs. So what I'm going to do is select these two faces and extrude them out. That's going to create an even thicker area. I probably don't want to extrude them out too much. What I want to do is go into the vertex mode. I just did that with Control Tab whilst in edit mode. And sort of start to shape all of this. And get it to start sort of following this muscle and this side of the muscle as well. Get it to follow that fairly closely. then bring that in. And at the top especially, you're going to want them to come in. And we'll probably insert an edge loop along there at some point. We'll bring this whole bottom a couple of faces in. Yeah, I'll bring in that edge loop, and that'll give us a bit more control over how rounded it is. So we've got some fairly rounded body there. It is all looking still, again, quite thick on the outside. So what I'm going to do is just select, say, those two vertices, and hit O for proportional editing. You can switch it on and off down here and change the way it works. But what it does, as you move it, creates a fall off that you can use to sort of use the scroll wheel to adjust. So if I bring that all the way up, it's going to start affecting the head and the tail and everything. But I don't want that. I just want sort of the body and the sort of start of the neck just to come in a bit. So just eyeballing again. That looks about right. And then maybe bring in the neck with a slightly smaller offset. And then turn it off again with O, and I'll bring these parts out to create some roundedness, and even bring those ones in. So every time you add in an edge loop, I suppose one of the golden rules is move every vertice that you create. So don't just allow sort of new things to be created and then let them sit where they were created at, because that's just going to sort of create a weird look. You do want everything that you have added to the model to actually be of value to the model and to contribute to something. So if you create something you think is looking wrong, just change it. And yeah, every time you do an edge loop, make sure you do go in and edit every single vertice. Sounds like it's a bit tedious, but sort of the amount of time that you spend pushing vertices is gonna make your look a lot better. So it's very rare that creating a new edge loop is gonna come up with the perfect solution for the shape that you're modeling, especially when you're modeling organic creatures and stuff. So just bear that in mind. So that's sort of created an edge loop going around there and given us sort of an area to start modeling the leg from. So we can extrude that down. There's not a lot of sort of thick leg, so this part would probably stop about there, and I'll even rotate it a bit because you can see there's a knee in here, and because of the way the leg is designed, it's a sort of a reverse knee. This is actually, I believe, the ankle in the anatomy, and it's just sort of like a really long foot and he's standing on his toes. But there is sort of a double knee to be sort of wary of whilst you're modelling. For now, we'll just get the shape in place. We're not going to worry about deformations and stuff. So that's the shape there. You can see that's a bit far out. Just sort of try to keep things tidy. So that looks fairly okay. Might bring those in together a bit. Yep, that looks okay. And then it's probably better just to go to face mode to make sure you're just selecting the right things. And then extrude this one down there. scale it in a bit, because it is going to be quite thin anyway by that sort of area, although you might want to scale it out a little bit on the X. We don't want it to look crooked-legged, so bring those in and just Alt right click on that edge, and I'll bring that in a bit, bring that vertex in a little bit, just to keep that sort of like a smooth edge going along there. I'll probably extrude it once to sort of give me an area to model whilst I'm in that area, and then I'm just going to extrude down there. I'll extrude it straight to the floor for the sake of having sort of some geometry to look at. We'll make the toe come out about there. I'll put it to the end there. You can deselect selection with middle click whilst you're box selecting. So what I meant to do there was middle click and then do that. So I can just work with those ones if you've already got them selected. It's a neat trick you can do. Just box selecting and moving things. It's fairly rough. He looks a bit bow-legged at the moment, but that's okay. That can be adjusted. Although, try not to make him look too dainty, because he's a Velociraptor. Or she, depends on personal preference as to what the sex of your dinosaur is. And I'll probably, just to wrap this video up, just move those there. So we've got the beginnings of a Velociraptor. Take any liberties you want with the anatomy, really. You may want to have it thinner, thicker. You can have a super fat Velociraptor if you want, although you have to start modelling in your fat folds and stuff. But for a first video, that sort of gets us kick-started. We've got a model to start working off. Next we'll start sort of bringing in some detail. We'll probably model the toes. There's 3 toes to worry about. One that's off at an odd angle. We'll do the arms and the detail in the head. There's not a lot of detail in the body to worry about, just sort of making sure the muscles are fairly defined and looking good. So I hope you found this useful, and until next week, good luck and have fun.